Donald Trump has suggested delaying the November 3rd presidential election due to unsubstantiated claims, and I really do want to emphasize unsubstantiated claims regarding mail-in voting. Now, understand that Donald Trump is falling behind significantly when it comes to polling. If the election were to take place today, it's very, very unlikely that he would be reelected. And this is both a distraction from his failed response to civil unrest and to the pandemic, but it's also a way to maybe plant a seed and see if possibly he could get away with delaying the election. Now, in order for him to delay it, you would need Congress to agree. He cannot unilaterally delay the election. But my answer to that is Donald Trump has violated the civil liberties of Americans, the constitutional rights of protesters. He has sent federal troops to Portland and has suggested sending them to other parts of the country to fight crime, which of course is completely out of their jurisdiction. This is a man who does not care about the law. This is a man who has gotten away with breaking the law several times, even while he sits in the White House. And so these are, suggestions that should be taken seriously. And there was some foreshadowing. And we got a little bit of that foreshadowing during his interview with Chris Wallace. Take a look.
I don't lose too often. I don't like to lose.
But are you gracious?
You don't know until you see. It depends. I think mail-in voting is going to rig the election. I really do.
Are you suggesting that you might not accept the results of the election?
I have to see. Look, Hillary Clinton asked me the same thing.
No, I asked you the same thing in the debate.
And you know what? She's the one that never accepted it.
I agree.
She never accepted her loss, and she looks like a fool.
Can you give a direct answer? You will accept the election?
I have to see. Look, I have to see. No, I'm not going to just say yes. I'm not going to say no, and I didn't last time either.
So I thought that was an important moment from that interview with Chris Wallace because it gave us a little bit of a sense, at least, into what Donald Trump plans on doing if he doesn't get his numbers up in time. Now, remember, there's only 96 days left until the election. And so today in the morning, he tweeted, with universal mail-in voting, not absentee voting, which is good, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote. Now, it's important to note that there are 5 states, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Utah, and Washington, which currently hold elections almost entirely by mail. There is no evidence to reinforce what he's alleging here, that mail-in voting is gonna lead to widespread fraud. But there is a great deal of evidence showing that Donald Trump is in trouble in his polling, in how he's responded to various issues that the country is going through right now, crises that the country is going through. So this is honestly something that I'm taking seriously, but I wanna hear your thoughts, Aida.
Well, I'm right there with you. I think we should have been taking stuff seriously a long time ago. I mean, the rule of law has been violated countless times since Donald Trump has been in office. I disagree with him. I think the greatest embarrassment that this country has experienced happened in 2016. I think that, I watch The Handmaid's Tale and we laugh at stuff like that because it doesn't look real. And we're like, wow, look at this TV show. But if you pay attention to some of the things that are happening within our government, they're very similar to people who are trying to, put this authoritarian government into effect. Now, I will say this. It is no coincidence that all of a sudden he's talking about how things don't seem like they're going to be on the up and up, because he's on the decline. Because another one of our greatest embarrassments is the way the leader of the free world handled a national pandemic and the way it's treated its citizens who are now, threatened to be what 10% of our population is at risk of being homeless at this moment because of what is happening with rent. And you're taking away the very little money that you are giving people who cannot go to work, and our essential workers are dying and becoming sick because of this pandemic and the way that it's been handled, and how he's politicized every issue that has to do with our humanity that specifically affects marginalized communities more than anybody else. He's handled every single issue with a lack of responsibility or remorse or regard for people who are beneath him And when you don't know, if you don't know who you are, who those people are that are beneath him, that is all of us who are not in the top 1% of the population, no matter how they decide to spin it. So no, I'm not surprised about how this is happening. And be very careful, youth, constitutional, patriot people who are always talking about how you want to uphold this government and its laws, that he is attacking your laws while insulting your intelligence by emotionally motivating you to hate other people and distract you while he takes your laws away from you too.
We hear a lot about free speech and the importance of free speech when these violations negatively impact the right wing. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to claim you care about First Amendment rights, then you need to fight for all fellow Americans to maintain their First Amendment rights. The First Amendment doesn't start and stop with conservatives who want to speak on college campuses. They absolutely should be allowed to speak on public college campuses, and protesters have the right to assemble. And what we're seeing right now is federal judges essentially telling protesters who have been detained for nonsense by federal agents that they will not be released unless they agree that they will no longer assemble, that they will no longer be part of these protests. That was a story that we reported on yesterday. That is a constitutional violation. Our civil liberties are being dismantled, and no one took any of this seriously before. They thought that Trump was all talk. But he's actually implementing a lot of what he threatened to do. And we're seeing this right now when it comes to this upcoming election. Now, I do want to go to, honestly, disturbing video featuring Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who was asked about Donald Trump's statements by Tim Kaine. Let's take a quick look.
Can a president delay a presidential election?
Senator, in the end, the Department of Justice, others will make that legal determination. We all should want, I know you do too, Senator Kaine, want to make sure we have an election that everyone is confident in. It's not only free.
Are you indifferent to the date of the election?
It should happen lawfully.
Right.
Yeah.
It should happen lawfully.
Yeah.
So for the record, because you may not want to comment on it, but I do think it's important. A president cannot delay an election. The date of the election is established by Congress. It was established in 1845. There is no ability for a president to delay an election. And I don't think it's that hard a question, or one that should lead to any equivocation by somebody who's fourth in line of succession to be president of the United States.
Honestly, I can't stand, first of all, the answer from Mike Pompeo is concerning, because again, for everyone who's like, oh no, don't worry, Trump can't do that unilaterally. He's done all sorts of things unilaterally. He's broken all sorts of laws. And in this case, you have Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, who alongside Attorney General William Barr, who totally lied about Mueller's investigation and what it said about Trump obstructing justice. Those two together are gonna do what it takes to carry out what Trump wishes, because that means they get to maintain their position of power. And Ida, I want to also just quickly mention that all these conservatives who downplayed some of the worries that liberals had about Trump trying to delay the election are now changing their tune. Now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, voter fraud. That's a serious problem. There's no evidence of it, but we're gonna pretend like there is because we want to maintain our positions of power as well. And just to give you guys all a quick reminder, here are some of the conservatives and the commentary that they gave in April of this year when it came to the worries that people have about Trump trying to delay this election. Take a look.
Someone might want to check up on Joe Biden during this nationwide lockdown. He's saying some very strange things. Biden pushed a bizarre conspiracy theory. It was that President Trump may try and delay the 2020 election.
Joe Biden says he thinks President Trump will try to delay the November election. Biden did not provide any evidence for this charge.
Trump is somehow gonna move the election. It's just so dumb. I mean, I can't believe, we have to cover this, but we do because it was brought up by a major party candidate.
This is an attempt to frighten people. This is all the Democrats have, is an effort to frighten their own people into thinking that this is going to be some kind of a coup. Whereas in fact, the president, I think, is looking forward to this, clearly wants to have an election, and this is all the Democrats have, into looking suspiciously at the president. I think they'll fail here.
Ida, I'm exhausted, and your fire really reinvigorates me. So I'm just gonna let you go off. Do your thing, because I want to hear what you have to say here.
It's so funny to me that there is this movement of people in this country that are this very anti-intellectual movement, right? But then you see these people who are in positions of power that have gone to colleges, and these things come out of their mouths. You know, I'm not just worried, I'm angry, right? Because it's a bunch of white men who are fighting their last stand to maintain white power in white people in power. And I said white power because that's exactly what they've been saying. Barr went on national television and spoke on behalf of Roger, what's his name? I can't even think of all these fools
Roger
right
Stone.
now. Roger Stone. Do you think it's just for a 67-year-old man to be in prison, is what he said, while Bill Cosby is going to be rot in jail, but he's a black man, right? And not to excuse what Bill Cosby did, but just to say that you find humanity in a criminal because he looks like you. So when we see these people talking, it is white supremacy at work. And you can say whatever you want to say, that we're trying to use the race card, but it is people trying to hold on to the privilege that they think that they have, and they want to maintain the status quo. So whatever Trump can do to prolong that for them is what they're fighting for. They're not fighting for rights. They're not fighting for the Constitution. They're not fighting for better wages for the people in this country. They're not fighting for health care. They're fighting to keep their foot on the necks of the people that they perceive to be beneath them. And so while many people don't take this stuff seriously, we didn't take Donald Trump seriously, and now he's the president. We have to stay diligent. We have to vote, and we have to use our voices to speak out of this ridiculousness, because whether their base believes it or not, all they do every day is insult the intelligence of their base by stoking them with fear. They're stoking their fears and emotionally driving them by making them feel that people that look like me and darker are gonna take something away from them. And just out of that fear, they will uphold whatever this president throws at them, because all they wanna do is hold on to power. And they won't have it. It's really what they're fighting for.
You know, and Trump was really planning to rely on the economy in order to get reelected. Now, let me just be clear that the economic numbers prior to the pandemic did not benefit the majority of Americans. It certainly did benefit those at the top who have the means to invest in the stock market. But if you look at the economic numbers that came out just today, you can understand why Donald Trump has already begun to plant this seed of delaying the election. So I'm gonna fast forward to what the Associated Press reported this morning about the economic numbers. The government reported Thursday that the US economy shrank by a dizzying 39.9% annual rate in the April to June quarter, by far the worst quarterly plunge ever, threw tens of millions out of work and sent unemployment surging to 14.7%. I mention that because he's killing two birds with one stone in his mind by tweeting something like this. You plant the seed and test the water, see if you could possibly delay the election, and you also distract from having a conversation about where we really are with the economy, which, by the way, we will not do on this show. We absolutely will cover the economy in great detail later on, so definitely stick around for that. And just to give you some poll numbers, presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden leads President Trump, by 4 points in Florida. The results come as Real Clear Politics average of Florida polls shows Biden with a nearly 7-point advantage over Trump, although that figure is boosted by 2 surveys this month showing Biden with a double-digit advantage. A Quinnipiac University survey released 2 weeks ago found Biden ahead by an astonishing 13 points in Florida. So Trump is in trouble, he knows it, and we should take these warnings seriously. Democrats in Congress should not approach this the way they've approached every other issue, including how Trump has handled civil unrest in this country. And you can't just rely on bad faith actors, dishonest individuals within the Trump administration and within Congress, to be honest with you, Republicans in Congress, to do the right thing.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.